Hey guys, I'm April from Giggle Glitter Graphics, and this is my second and last page decorating video for my haunted house journal. I used the haunted house collection of principles to make this journal, and today I'm sharing a few more of the most interesting pages from it. I'm starting off today with one of my favorite spreads. I used one of these Gothic Flowers fussy cuts, and I just made a pocket out of it by gluing around the bottom half edge. And on the facing page, I am using a lace band from the kit to create a belly band. Now, when I put these down originally on the page, I wasn't entirely sure what direction I was going in, but I really liked how the flowers looked framed on that page on the journaling paper. So I just took that as my inspiration and ran with it. To embellish the belly band, I'm using one of the fancier tags from the kit that has several keys on it, and I'm just going to glue that right into the middle. And then I'm picking a label from the add-on kit, and this I'm just turning into another teeny tiny little belly band on the bottom of the Gothic Flowers fussy cut, and I'm going to tuck something into that in a little bit. I kind of ping pong back and forth during this spread, so I'm going to go back to the left side, and I'm making a cluster using a button. It still has some old thread in it, which I love. I have a tiny little fussy cut from the snippet kit, and I've picked up some of those really messed up scraps and bits that are all over my table. I kept every single cut off in this project. And so those itty bitty tiny little, like where I'm neatening things up with my scissors, those cutoffs, I saved them and I used quite a few of them because I liked how raggedy they look. In the belly band, I decided to place this old photograph of a young boy. I thought it looked really good there and contrasted nicely with the pop of color behind it. You can see my belly band got glued shut, so I just used my bone folder to kind of pop that back open. On the left side, I need something larger for that larger belly band. So I get one of the haunted house room papers and I kind of fold it so that it will fit right down into the band snugly and take up some nice space. On the back of this, I've printed some of the old books and papers, paper set, and all of these things will be linked down below just in case I misname something. But I inked all the edges, I tore the top and the bottom just to give some more interest and slid that right down inside. And I liked how that old newspaper look really worked with the lace and the keys and everything. For the pocket on the right, I have selected a piece of music paper ephemera. This is a purchased ephemera that I got from a kit on Amazon. And I just inked that up, give it like an interesting little fold so that it's kind of playful back there. And then I ink up anything that might poke out. I did tear all the edges on this piece of ephemera just to age it a little bit. You might have noticed that I had popped a doily under the belly band on the left, and now I've gone back to that, and I wanted kind of a jump scare. So when you pull the doily out, it says something, like something happens, and I really like how this came out. I just used a Victorian stamp and some text from the kit along with a bunch of distress ink. For this next page, I'm using one of the pages from the journal kit. It has two panels on it. You can fold these in half to kind of make a front and a back journal page. I've cut them apart, and I'm going to make little individual journals out of these. I've cut some of my upholstery fabric that I've used throughout my journal, and I'm just going to center up my inked piece of paper, glue it down, and then I'm going to go to my sewing machine and do a zigzag stitch around the edge. I don't really worry about this being super nice and neat. I just use enough glue to tack it down so it won't move around too much and do a quick sloppy zigzag stitch around the outside. For an embellishment, I'm using a small Tim Holtz lock. I have a pack of these on hand and I really wanted to use one. These come with long fasteners to kind of fill the holes in, so I used those to attach the lock plate to a piece of lace. I've cut this lace long enough that it can wrap around the journal a couple of times. I wanted that to be my closure method. And I'm just going to use Fabri-Tac glue to glue the lock down and secure it to the journal. I want to add a little more to the front of this to make it more interesting. So I decided to grab a tag from the add-on kit and I'm going to tuck it right inside of the lace on top of the journal. I punch a hole in it, and then I realize that I have printed this sheet of tags on regular paper instead of cardstock, and I feel like they're a little flimsy. So I get into my printed ephemera and I glue a piece to the back to kind of thicken it up. I repunch the hole, add some ink to the edges, and then grab a little piece of that binding lace that I like so much and use that as the tie. For embellishment, I'm going to use a wax seal sticker along with a scrap of lace from my table, and I just tack that on really quickly with some Fabri-Tac. Now I'm going to make kind of a tuck with my lace so that I can add my tag to the front of my journal. So I'm just going to kind of figure out how much room this needs, and I realize it pretty much needs all of it. So I just flip the journal over and use a little bit of glue to tack that lace to the back of the fabric. It's not very much glue at all. I just kind of gently put a little zigzag and press it down. When I move over to insert this into my journal, I realized that for the tie action to still work properly, I can only glue the top of the journal in, and this actually worked really well. I just tacked the top of it down, and now I can wrap and unwrap the lace to open and close my journal. This page is pretty simple, but I thought it was also important to share it with you, and you'll see why in a minute. I'm just using a little corner tuck from the kit along with some cheesecloth to start the page off. And here's what I wanted to show you. This is a little piece of my snippet strip I had left over, and you can use every single little bit of your snippet strips. It might feel scary to spend so much time on something and then cut it all apart and then get these weird pieces, but they work. They really do. Inside of this tuck, I'm going to add a little envelope. I've lined this envelope with another piece of that purchased ephemera paper, and then I'm going to use a fussy cut from the snippets kit, and I think that's a label from the add-on kit, just to add a little embellishment along with some music paper. And now I'm creating a bulb pin dangle like I did in my last video in the kitchen spread, and I'm just going to pierce that right through the envelope and let it hang off the corner. Jumping around through the journal, I get to one of these coffee dyed pages, and I'm using a doily I picked up at the thrift store. I picked up 3 of these for this journal, and this is the second one that I've used. I'm just using it as a backdrop for the other embellishments on the page. Now I've got a variety of stamped papers, ephemera pieces from the notes and letters kit and the add-on kit, and I'm making kind of a cluster pocket is the best way I could describe it. I'm trying to figure out how to lay these all out and glue them together in a way that is going to allow me to use it as a pocket, but still has kind of a cluster effect. Once I get my cluster pocket assembled the way I want, I figure out where the glue is going to go. I want to put this tag inside, and I want to make sure that it's tight enough to keep the tag in place while still being enough room that if I want to add some more things later, I can. At the top of the page, I'm adding an envelope from the add-on kit, and I've stamped the back side of this with vintage stamps using vintage photo distress ink. I am only gluing 3 sides to make this into a pocket, but I didn't end up adding anything when I was working on this spread. A black rose, a little fussy cut from the snippet kit adds a nice touch, I think, on the left-hand side. I have a place for my tag, and now I just feel like it needs a little more at the top. I end up using a tab from the kit, and I attach that using Uhu glue stick. And then I go through my scraps again, and I pick out a piece of fabric from my upholstery scraps and add that to the top as well. Now at this point in the video, I'm going to leave you with some pleasant music. There was so much footage while decorating this journal that I wanted to share as much as I can, but I'm not going to be able to do a voiceover for all of it. As always, thank you so much for watching, and remember, if you're interested in these principles, you can find them listed in the description down below.